World of YouTube, Archie here. Another edition of murder crazy stories. This story is literally from a town I used to live in. I also want to make note that I'm trying to get another video from air that I couldn't do this year due to the winter. And last year I had no goddamn gas money, go figure. But I will be bringing the intro to that video. It's got to do with William Tyree Jr., who murdered his wife in air, 1979. The reason why I got this one up is because I was at the Fort Devens theater in Fort Devens, and the haunted one that I've been looking into. And if you haven't looked at it already, I have a video up of haunted places in Mass. If you want to check out that video of the Fort Devens Theater, just press in Fort Devens Theater. You'll see all the Devens theaters come up, but the main one is the one I just did last week. And I also have a video on that about the my phone mess up. But due to the fact that I went to that theater and my phone messed up, and that's what brings me to this story. Because a date on the phone, on my phone, you would have thought would have changed. It changed, but it changed back to friggin', what was it? January 5th, 1980. Then it had December 31st, 1980. And why it set itself back to this date, beyond me. So I went digging, and I know I probably wouldn't have found nothing, but I had to check of anything that happened in Fort Devens in 1980. But I highly doubt I'd ever get any information because, of course, back then, Fort Devens was open. They didn't shut down and become a non-base up until like 1995 or 96. I remember that day clearly when they did shut that base down. And but I highly doubt, unless I know someone that lived there at that time, to know anything that happened in that theater in 1980 or anywhere around that area in 1980 and give me some information. But when I did press in that, I came to this. Now, I don't want to know why this didn't come up when I was looking up my William Tyree Jr. story, because 1998, murder at Fort Devens came out on a TV show. You want to look that up. And yeah, the guy killed his wife because his wife was getting discharged from the military at the time. They just had a baby. And I'm going to go over that case too on the phone here, because I have that saved. But to make a long story short, 79, 1980, two back-to-back murders. Brutal murders at that. Like I said, I'll go over the Fort Devens one after, but this one, 1980, I don't know why it came up, and it didn't come up when I was looking the other story. But this one's just unbelievably, of course, back then in them days, they didn't have forensic files and, shake the hand of the man who made forensics. Because this guy would have been sitting his life, as you can see right here. His name is Kenny Waters. And he would have sat his ass in jail for the rest of his... He sat 18 years in jail for this thing that he did not even do. Like I said, you want to shake the man of the hand that made forensics and so forth. But He got convicted in 1983, and here we have, when he got released in 2001, that's what it says. Here's Kenny, at the young age he was, and here he is now. And you know what sucks about this friggin' story is not only did he get out in 2001, 6 months later he died in a car crash. So this man just literally sat his ass in jail for 18 years and died 6 months of getting out. What a shame. For nothing. Did nothing. There's blood at the evidence that they found. It wasn't even his. But anyways, Kenny worked at the Park Street Diner and Air. Now let me mind you that 1980 I used to wander the streets. Even in 1979 I was walking the streets. I would go to the local Bookberry store that was in Air. It's now closed. I would go to the Five and Dime in Air, which is now closed. And that's the name of the stores. And the Park Street Diner. Go figure. I probably met this guy. I think as I look at his picture, I do remember him working there. Due to the fact that I used to run down to the diner or whatnot, and I used to play in their phone booths. They used to have like 6 phone booths that you could go in and make calls, but I got kicked out of there for going in there and making fake calls, pretending I was talking to someone. They caught on after a while, what the hell was this kid doing in the friggin' phone booth? I had a wild imagination, and believe it or not, I still have a wild imagination. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's the one that got, say, hey, what are you doing in there? Get out of there. You can't play in there. And I remember that clearly because I got so scared. I thought I was doing no wrong, but what the hell, man? But yeah, I grew up in a town of a lot of secrets, and this one coming up is like, wow, what was really going on back in these days, and what was really going on, everybody always says in a small town, and Air is a small town, that everybody's shocked. They were even shocked about this, but why were they shocked about this? But because a year before, unless, they didn't share it as much back then because due to the fact that it was murder in Fort Devens, and you know how the military is. If you're not out in the outside world and you're in the military, your info and and all that is military property and is not allowed in the public eye. So I don't know if it was as big as this story, or even if anybody might have heard of much of it. But I mean, it's weird because, yeah, the murder happened out of the base. These 2 soldiers, Tyree Jr. and his wife Elaine, didn't even live on the base. But I'm going to go scan through this. So Kenny here was of 9 children. He grew up in Massachusetts, by the mid-20s in Air, working as a chef at the local diner, which was the Park Street Diner at the time. It is now a bank, which sucks. Just a few years later, he was charged. Of course, 1983, and served 18 years in prison for DNA testing until the DNA testing proved his innocence. His sister, Betty Ann Waters, literally went to school, law school, to become a lawyer. And she only did it for this case, I guess. And freedom. Because, of course, Forensic Files and that TV show, Forensics came up. There's a lot of shit that comes up that makes people innocent or convicted. And it's damn good that they found it, because Damn, if I was to get accused for something, I didn't do fucking A, man. Why should I sit my ass in jail for 18 years? Now, there was blood stains throughout the house of this lady, and it was on the morning of May 21st, 1980. Katharina Ritz Brown was murdered in a Massachusetts home, which was actually a trailer park. And this is why they got Kenny in trouble, because Kenny lived next door to the woman. And this woman had jewelry, and she always kept the cash of her big wads of money, and it was all missing. Someone that didn't use the bank at the time. A lot of people didn't use the bank back in them days. That's due to banks doing what they do best. But the crime scene investigators recovered hairs, blood, and fingerprints in the house that were considered potentially tied to the perpetrator. The apparent murder weapon was a paring knife that was collected in a wastebasket. Kenny Waters became a suspect, and this is why he became a suspect. But later on, when you hear the evidence, you're going to be dropping your jaw, because it was just fucking ridiculous. Because he lived next door to the victim with his girlfriend, Brenda. He worked at the Park Street Diner and Air, like I said, where Brown, she was a frequent customer there, but everybody went to that place. I remember a lot of people going to that place due to the fact that, the local diner. There was actually 2 diners at the time, too. And they're always in competitive, but Park Street Diner was pretty good, and I don't know why they sold out to a stupid bank, but so anyways, I guess Kenny knew, I don't know if he knew about the money she kept in that place, but he had a strong alibi, it says here, because until 8:30 a.m. on the day of Brown was killed, a co-worker had to drive Kenny home and change his clothes, because he had to be appearing at court for 9 a.m. Said he left the courthouse after 11 a.m. and returned to the diner, where he stayed until 12:30 p.m. Officers examined his clothes. Now listen to this very carefully. And body. He examined his clothes and body, and he did not see any apparent blood stains or cuts. He was fingerprinted and questioned further, but not charged. Now remember, there was no blood on his clothes, no stains or cuts. Remember them very carefully and clearly in your mind. The case remained open for more than 2 years. In October of 82, a man named Robert Osborne, douchebag, gotta have that name for Ozzy Osbourne, making him good name go bad, who is now living with Brenda, because I guess Kenny and Brenda broke up. At the time, this guy, Robert, seeing Brenda, went to the Air Police Department and allegedly offered to provide information on the murder of Kenny in exchange for cash. He wanted money. Scumbag. Osborne said Marsh, which is Brenda, had told him that Waters confessed to her that he killed a woman. It is unknown whether Osborne, I'm not even going to use Osborne's name because he's a douchebag ruining the name. Robert was, it was unknown whether Robert was ever, compensate for the information. Compensated, sorry. Don't use that word much, so. Compensated for the information he provided. Officers then interrogated Brenda and threatened to charge her as an accessory to murder and take away her children if she didn't, claim that Robert's state was true. She intentionally refused, saying Robert's statements were untrue. So right there, here we are. Eventually, however, she agreed to cooperate, and she told police that Waters had returned home on the morning of the murder with a long, deep scratch on his face. Now, why would the police department at the time go about checking the body? Remember what I said? The body had no scratches. And I'll read it again. And officers examined his clothes and body and did not see any apparent bloodstains or cuts. And then down here, a long scratch on his face. So how the fuck they missed that? Now, if that was the case in my fucking life, oh man, would I be off the wall. A woman lying and all this bullshit. And yeah, this was in October of 1982. So you got 2 years after the fucking fact. And this douchebag comes up and does that to this poor bastard. Sat his life 18 years in fucking jail. I sat 1 year in jail for a cop accusing me of something I did not do. And yeah, what is the fucking justice? It leads to, and then you got people like Aaron Hernandez. He, throwing out evidence. No, you can't use this on this case today. And then you got Jodi Arias. Don't get the death penalty. Just leave her ass in jail for the rest of her life and let the taxpayers pay. Or maybe she could even get out. Where's the fucking justice system these days? And even back in the day, this is how long the justice system has been corrupt. It goes on and on and on. And based on these statements, Waters was charged with murder. His trial began in 1983. Although police had used fingerprints to exclude Waters and several other suspects during the investigation, these records were apparently not provided by the police to prosecutors. A forensic analyst testified that there are 3 hairs collected from the crime scene, including one of the victims and one on the murder weapon, did not match the victim or Waters. Look at that one. Hairs didn't match the victim or Waters. But courts went on to do it anyways. Waters was convicted on May 11th, 1983 and sentenced to life in fucking prison. So, 2 things there. Hairs that didn't match the victim or Waters, and a scratch that never existed on the face. No, if that was the case, if I was an officer at the time, I would have been considerate and took pictures of the guy's body. Even though he was a suspect, I would have took pictures of that guy's body just to analyze it, just to go over it and say maybe we missed something that we didn't see, but yet, if you didn't see it, something you didn't miss, and it would have been, yeah, hey, bring them in later. Well, then again, there you go with the crooked cops. Because if that was, and someone took my evidence and said, oh, we don't need these, and throw them away or burn them, but that's sort of something I would have done, and I would have made myself look like a fucking fool, because in the end, like I said, I just read the important parts and pieces of the evidence in the file that, yeah, he was convicted with two things that were tested positive of him not being at the fucking crime. And it goes on saying anyways that Betty Ann Waters' sister, they were always close. Now the story behind this is that these two had a mother that was very irresponsible with children, even though she had 9 of them. And she left these 2 kids to fend for themselves. So, yes, they did ended up being troubled kids like anybody else. I know my parents split up when I was at a young age. I started becoming a troubled kid. I mean, they got back together later on, but it wasn't like it was when I was a kid. And I just went off my own way, and things started happening, and, I ended up with my dumbass self becoming a 17-year alcoholic and blah, blah, blah. And this guy here, Kenny, he was a drinker and, probably a pot smoker, but he didn't kill nobody, and it's just stupid, Even with my stupidity of drinking, I got over it. I just quit because of the dumb things I used to do, but I didn't murder nobody. I'm not spending my life in jail for someone's bullshit. But, other than that, his sister, they were both troubled children from after that, and so here we are, we have this, sister gonna go become a lawyer. She kind of screwed up her own life, her husband, her kids. Her kids left to want to live with the father. I think the father left her because she, put all her determination into this case, which is kind of good, and the kids can't really, I don't know how much of a relationship they have now. I don't know who's living. There ain't no updates on this yet, so like I said, I know the poor bastard that went to jail for 18 years, he died. But I hope the kids understand what she did for her brother. I mean, because she knew him that not to be a damn killer. And like I said, I don't know what it is these days, but I like to say to the kids and husband, hey, she stuck to her guns and freed an innocent man. You got to look at it that way. And they up and abandoned her because she wanted to do this. She went and got it. She almost went and, off the deep end, though, and almost killed herself or whatnot, not caring, and gave everything up because her kids left her husband left her. But somebody came by and said, you got to get up, you got to do this, and she got the motivation going back into it. And like I said, bang, down here, she passed the bar exam. She became a full-fledged lawyer. And when forensics came in and she got the blood from the crime scene, which was, surprisingly saved. Alright? Shit like this sometimes. Like in a case, I'm kind of working on myself of trying to find out where the Taj bone is. Evidence was discarded back then on that case. And it's like, why do you do that? It doesn't matter if the man or person is innocent or guilty. Save that fucking evidence. Because, yeah, somewhere down the line, something like forensics came along, which is a damn good thing, and saved this man's life from sitting the rest of his life in fucking jail. No, there's always an outcome to good, but I'm surprised stuff like this case, because, he's guilty, throw it all away, and, they saved it. surprisingly, and she got him out. And that's just the whole story right there. And I don't know how I missed this story in 2010. Maybe because, yeah, I was homeless at the time. I was living in a fucking motel. I wasn't there, no TVs. I was constantly working, trying to get money. And, I started my own little business type thing. And I missed this story all around. I'm going to look into it. But it's called Convicted. And I'm going to look it up to see what I can find to watch it, because I'm very interested in this stuff. But I'm also going to bring you, YouTube, to the trailer park in Air, where the murder took place. I'm going to try and get there on the day, which is May 1st. And, let me check that again. May 21st. I'm going to try and get there this spring. See what I can get. Because I'm always looking for ghost hunting. I don't know what I'm going to find or if I'm going to see any ghosts. But hey, I'm going to give it a damn shot. Because lately, encounters with ghosts has been very happening with me, boy. I've been encountering ghosts, and I'm actually going to be going in to the actual old haunted theater in Devon's, Mass. I finally found out the people who run it, and I'm going to bring you live to it. I can't believe it. I'm still in disbelief that I even can get in there. It's going to be fucking awesome, because the other video I did, like I said, to find this story, to tell you the truth, I don't know if this has got anything to do with the 1980 to make me find this, to find this story. It's just weird how everything just happened. And it's just, freaking me out. 1980, I come up, bang, this story comes up. I don't know why it didn't come up like when I was looking for the story in 79, because usually when you scroll down your page and everything, when you're looking, you see related stories to this one, stuff like that. Never did come up. This came up after I went to friggin' Devon's, and it's like, what the fuck's going on? Who knows? I go into this trailer park, do some ghost checking. I don't know what trailer they lived in, but I'm going to see what I can do to walk through. I'm going to call the police down there and let them know what I'm doing, so people don't get all up in an uproar for friggin' seeing some whack job walking in their trailer park. But I'm going to end off saying and showing you what they said about Waters, because on March 15th, 2001, the district attorney's office dropped all charges against Waters. Took him that fucking long because of forensics. Thank you, forensics. But sadly, Waters died in a tragic accident on September 19th, 2001. Only 6 months after he was released from prison. What a fucking shit life he led, man. He was 47 years old, but Betty Ann Waters says of her brother's time after he was after he was released. I can't pronounce that word because I don't use it all the time, but Kenny had the best 6 months of his life after so many years behind bars. The world was new to him, it says. Since Waters' death, representatives of his estate have settled a civil lawsuit with the town of Air, and the case was the subject of a 2010 feature film Conviction. So if you want to check it out. Excuse me. Other than that, the fucking murderer in this trial, whoever he may be, bastard still roams the earth. Still roams population. I don't know, it's fucking kind of freaky, probably scary to some people that he never got caught. And who knows how many more people was, into this shit. This reminds me that the woman was stabbed 30 times in this case. And I'm just about to wonder, because I have another video of serial killers up that I think happened. The cops say it didn't happen. But even though the cases were similar of women getting stabbed and raped, so I don't know what this woman, it didn't say about this woman getting raped, but I don't know, the 1973 murders of a Townsend woman and Fitchburg women, and the 1973 murder out in Rutland. And this one, I'm putting it, I don't know, I can't say that it's legit, but I'm going to say in my eyes and when I see my thoughts and theories, I consider this guy the same guy that committed them murders. A serial killer. A man who's been roaming and never got caught. And why? Because look at this. Look at the 73 murders. They haven't found that killer either. And stabbing. The guy has an infatuation for stabbing women, cutting women, doing all kinds of crazy shit to women. And to me, that same shit. Oh, and I want to say that a woman was, if you want to look up, Woman of the Dunes. It happened in 1974 because I went and looked up 73 murders. I wanted to see what happened in 74. And a woman supposedly was murdered in the sand dunes off of Providence Town, P-Town, the Cape. And that murder has never been solved either. And it has to do in relations, and this is what it is too, what I think is the Boston Strangler. Now the Boston Strangler was, women were strangled and stuff, but also brutally stabbed, and there was some crazy shit going on in them days. That leads me to believe that if this, from the Boston Strangler, if in this, he considered himself, am I in here or is he still out there, in one of his last letters he wrote from prison. I think that the Boston Strangler, I think that guy did kill somebody, but after he went sentenced into jail, they said the murders stopped, but they didn't. I don't know. And that's what I think. That's what I'm coming off with. I think that serial killer was involved or knew or was just copycatting the real Boston Strangler, but there was murders that he did not do that someone else did, and I think it was a copycat maybe, and I think he might have just kept going, but just to keep it safe, he did it in time frames. So this might, I'm not saying it is, but I think this might have something to do with that too, due to the fact it's all in the same area. I mean, a radius of 30 miles apart. Hey, it's crazy as it sounds, I think it has something to do with it. But anyways, I wanted to share this story because of the freaky shit that's been happening to me after the theater. 1980, it came up in my phone, like I didn't get to say in my last video, that if a phone sets its date back, why would it set its date back to 1980 and not the manufacturing date? I didn't set that date. Believe it or not, you can believe it or not, I never went into my damn time date settings to set my phone back to 1980, and I have a picture of it too that I saved that says the dates, and I've already reset that back, but it's like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know. Anyways, YouTube, As strange as I am, and as strange as this story is, and as strange as has been happening to me, until the next video, like I said, time is precious in this life of mine. I gotta get time to do things, but other than that, YouTube. Till the next freaked out, whacked out video. I am out.